Hello and welcome to the Main Street Mouse Weekly Podcast, where we will discuss Disney news, adventures in Florida living, pop culture, and more.
Hi there! Welcome to the Main Street Mouse!
Hi everyone, I'm Scott Atwood.
And I'm Michelle Atwood. We are the owners of the Main Street Mouse.
And this is show number 138 for March 25th, 2024. Yeah, this is kind of different for us. We're so used to doing a live show on Facebook that now we're just staring at one another.
Well, I think it'll be the same concept and everything, just maybe a little more off the rails.
I think it'll probably be a lot more off the rails than we are normally with the live show, but the audience distracts us on that show.
That's true. I mean, I think that this is going to be a good thing because, we have talked about it many times about how social media is not good anymore and people are missing our content. So this will be another way to get out said content with a little bit extra to it.
And I think we'll be more apt to do this every week. With the show on Facebook Live, it comes down to a lot of times like, oh, we're tired, we don't want to do it.
Or I don't feel well.
You don't feel well, we have something else going on. So it's really hard to make sure we're available every Monday at 7 o'clock to go live on Facebook for everybody to see the show. So with this, we can record it any time during the day and put it out the same day.
Exactly. I think it'll be a lot easier on our schedules, and hopefully it'll be easier for people because if they're not on Facebook Live at 7 o'clock on a Monday, then they have time to listen to it in their car or,
Right.
wherever they're at. And I think it's going to be beneficial for everyone. I hope.
So we'll see. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's going to be a little bit different than the live show we normally do. Usually we just go over a couple of news topics, talk about our week and such, and we're going to probably do about the same here. We just won't have the interaction of the audience watching us, but you're always free to send us questions or comments either on our Facebook page, or you can email Michelle or myself at themainstreetmouse.com. So it's either Michelle with one L at themainstreetmouse.com or Scott at themainstreetmouse.com, and we'll answer your questions or comments, and you might even hear yourself on the air, or your question on the air, I should say, if you're sending something in.
Yeah, for sure. Do that because, we love to talk with you.
Always. So we have some topics we wrote down here. So we talked a little bit about the intro of the news show. We're hoping this will work for us. You guys will be able to subscribe on all the different podcasting networks. So if you're on Apple Podcast, you can subscribe to us there. Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, there's a dozen of them at least. So I'll have the links to all of those on the website, so you'll be able to see which one works for you the best, and then you can subscribe there, and you'll get notified when we have a new show go up.
Yes.
So, first section we're going to talk about, actually, we're calling it Adventures in Florida Living, which is a throwback to Michelle's old blog. You want to talk about what that was?
I do. Okay, so years and years and years ago, almost 10 years ago, actually 10 years ago now, when we announced that we were moving from Michigan to Florida, on Wednesday nights, I decided to start a Adventures in Florida Living blog, which kind of documented our move, getting ready to go, and then actually getting here and what all that entailed. And then once we got here, then it was more like just our adventures every week. And it was an article that did really, really well. And in the past, like I'd say year and a half or so, they kind of fell off. And part of that reason is me, I'll be honest. When social media doesn't show your posts and such, it's kind of daunting to put your heart and soul into something and nobody see it.
Yeah.
So I thought that adding that segment here would be the same concept, but then you can hear us actually talking about what we did instead of just writing it. We're so much more animated and fun when we talk about stuff. So
I was going to say, because writing is so monotone. I mean, you read it in whatever mood you're in at the time. So if you're kind of boring or having a bad day or whatever.
If you're really boring, don't read it.
If you're really boring, it's going to make your day probably even worse just reading it that way. But if you read it fun and energetically and more upbeat, you might enjoy what it says more.
Or you can get the real deal commentary from a source.
That's right, which is what we're going to do
And
now.
that's what we're going to try. Why not, right?
That's right. So since we did TMS and Weekly Live last Monday, this is our first show. Since then, we've gone to, we had an event at SeaWorld for their 60th anniversary. 60 years ago this past week, the first SeaWorld opened in San Diego, California.
Mm-hmm.
So all the SeaWorlds around the world were celebrating that day.
Right.
So when we got to SeaWorld, we were there bright and early, which we don't usually do well, but we got up early and got over
We're
there.
not morning people unless there's a media event or something like really important.
And then we just go with it and we just deal and we'll sleep later.
Listen to you. We just go with it. We'll deal. And let me preface that to say that we are more night owls than we are morning people. Some people like to get up bright and early in the morning, and like my friend Michelle, who's up at 7 a.m. making coffee, running around the house. That's just not who we are.
But she'll stay up late too.
I know.
So I don't know how she does it.
I don't get that. You morning people fascinate me, but we don't go to bed till after midnight every night.
At least, yeah, it's at least midnight because we're both working on something until that time, and then we finally go up the stairs, go to bed, and get up the next morning. We wake up and we start working right away, or messing around, reading news or whatever on our
Always
phones.
something. Or I'm watching my crime shows before bed.
Usually it's crime shows or
We need a crime show segment.
your 90-day fiancé stuff.
Okay, we're going to talk about those things later.
Oh boy,
Oh boy.
fun.
Okay,
So
back
anyway,
to SeaWorld.
SeaWorld. So we get to SeaWorld. They had a special area all set up for the anniversary celebration. They had really great backdrops, and they had all this
Stilt
stuff.
walkers, a
Stilt
DJ, and cupcakes.
Yeah, it was kind of a fun. When we got there, I was kind of excited. I was like, oh, this could be really fun thing. So JP, who is the park president of SeaWorld Orlando, was going to present a little presentation. Well, not a presentation, just give a little speech about 60 years being with the company and maybe looking to the future, some of the stuff they had coming in. And then he did that. They welcomed back Shamu, meet and greet.
Yeah, Shamu came out like a celebrity. And he had Shamu friends with him.
He did have Shamu friends.
I don't know their names, but there's Shamu friends.
No idea. There was, 5 of them, I think, roughly. A penguin. There was a
that many?
shark.
A shark.
Was that one an otter or something?
Dolphin.
Yeah, there was a dolphin.
Was there a dolphin? There should be.
I think there was a dolphin,
I
an
don't know.
otter, a shark, which the shark didn't. He was looking at all of them like,
You can tell we're not well versed in SeaWorld.
we're not. But anyway, so we still went. We covered the event. It was cool to be there. But after that, they said, okay, we're going to do a quick park tour with JP. He's gonna do a park tour, walking tour through the park with all the media. So we're like, okay. So they have us all kind of meet in one area, and then he walks over there, and it's like, okay, we're going. And JP is a very fast walker,
Very
fast
tall.
very tall, and he walks backwards so he can address the crowd.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how he did it.
No, this man, you guys, walked so fast. Now, I'm a fast walker, and Scott is too. Like, we're so fast to the point that sometimes I get, like, walking, like, road rage. When people walk too slow in front of me, I'm like, just move. Or when they stop right in front of me, it's almost like somebody braking in a car. Like, stop it. Just move or get out the way.
I'm going to run you over.
Oh, yeah, just move. So we're usually those fast walkers. Now, I was lagging behind really bad with this guy, and that's not me. That's not how I usually am. Usually I am right up there. And so, but you kept up with him pretty well.
I kept up with him good until we left the where they do the show, the orca show.
Oh, yes.
After we left that part, I was done. I chased him around the park already. To that point, I couldn't do it anymore. I was exhausted. So I filmed that whole segment of walking, which is not a good film. You don't want to watch it. Trust me, you don't want to see it. But I was doing more recording to get his audio, what he was talking about, and some of the plans for the park. And they've got a lot of big plans for the park. They're really doing it up. They redid the entire orca showroom. I don't know what that's called.
They kind of revamped it, and they have big whales, like these like wooden looking statues outside that are really cool.
They are really cool, actually. The Art Deco.
Is that what they are?
I guess so. But it was really cool to see all that. There's a lot of the new stuff that they're bringing in. SeaWorld's really starting to step up their game.
They are, and they have a new roller coaster, like a penguin roller coaster, opening later this year.
Which we got to see the track of.
We
Which
did.
I was shocked because we were just there towards the holidays. End of last
before
year,
the holidays.
And that track was nowhere going in.
No, I didn't see it anyway.
No.
I mean, it is kind of up on the hill behind, like where the sea lion and all that stuff is. So it's kind of like out of the way.
Right.
But we did go up the hill and we got to see some of it. So that'll be interesting. And then he was talking about new pizza that they're having in the park, the new whale show, the new coaster. What else did? Because
The Coastal Coffee, they put more of those kiosks around the park because I guess people were upset that there was only like one on one side of the park, so they put some of those on both sides of the park.
Wait, only one place to get coffee?
That brand or whatever coffee, whatever they called it, they say, because he said people would have to walk all the way to one side to get coffee, and they were giving them bad feedback. So they had
Well,
put,
heaven forbid.
I know. Don't you just want the coffee when you're walking in?
Yeah,
the
like
morning?
just put it right there in the beginning.
It's Florida. Who wants it at like 2 in the afternoon?
Nobody
when the sun
I
is
know.
blazing
Unless
on
it's
you?
unless it's iced coffee, then maybe. I don't know.
But they took us into the pizza place, which I was hoping, because anybody who knows me knows I love pizza.
I felt bad for Scott, you guys, because okay, so they took us into the pizza place, and it smells like pizza, obviously,
does.
because it's a pizza place, and they have all the media in there, and the guy is talking about, oh my gosh, this is the best pizza that so and so ever had, blah blah blah. Do you think they even gave us a little sample of that
Yeah.
pizza? No.
But one thing cool they did show us, and what a thing he mentioned a couple times on tour, is that they're trying to figure out ways to get people paid with their food and get out of the lines quicker than having to wait in line forever. So one of the things they had at the pizza place was that you go up there, you grab your stuff, because there was like almost like a cafeteria style thing there where they have the
Kinda.
pizza sitting there, and you grab what you want, you put it on this little table area where there's a camera, put all your stuff there, and it instantly brings it up for you. It's automated. It knows exactly what's on the table, what it rings up for. You scan your credit card, debit card, get your annual pass holder. If you have one, you can add that to the thing, and then you pay for it without any interaction from any cast members. or
So
any of their
basically, they're like
employees.
pulling a Walmart self-checkout, but for pizza.
Yes, and we don't get invited to the Christmas party.
Well, darn it.
I know. I would.
We
Personally,
don't get invited to the Christmas party.
well, we don't. We do. You go to Walmart, and first they don't check your receipt anymore. At least not here. I don't know if they do that in other places.
No. They
but
used to care. Now they don't
used to care. But the prices have gone up. We check out our own groceries, and then we don't
Bag
get
your
invited
own
to the
crap.
Christmas party.
And then you don't get to you don't get any perks.
At least give me the Walmart discount. Give me something. If I'm gonna scan my own groceries, give me some kind of discount.
You know. Okay, sidebar. You know what they could have done? Follow me for a sec. I have a thought. I just got to put it
Here we go.
together. All right. So there's self-checkout. Supposed to get, make things more efficient. People can check out their own stuff, blah, blah, blah. Now, they spend good money to put in self-checkout lines and
Right.
such across the stores. Why couldn't they, since Walmart has been famous for not having enough registers open, especially like on the weekends or during the holidays.
Right.
So why didn't they just hire more cashiers, open more aisles so that they could actually put real people in jobs instead of doing self-checkout? I mean, it would have done the same thing, basically.
It would have, but you have to pay all those people. And then there's a liability with insurance that you have people in your store working that you have to cover them for workman's comp and such when they're there. They're just
But
looking
you got
at,
employees anyway.
I know, but they're looking at 10 employees as opposed to 50 employees.
It just, it's one of those things that, there's so many people that are out of work right now.
Yeah.
And when you see stuff like that, because you're seeing self-checkout now at the dollar store, at Five Below, at a lot of places that used to have like registers, and there's like one person just watching it instead of
Well, and sidebar, I'm going to take a sidebar here.
Oh, boy, here
on
we
what
go.
you said. Because the dollar store. So last year, the big riling thing about the dollar store was they went from $1 to $1.25 for
Here we
all
go.
items. But then most of them put in self-scanners,
right.
which had to cost the company money to put those in. So was that 25 cents additional each item is what we're paying them to put in self-scanners to fire somebody who used to work the registers and put in these electronic scanners now that one person can handle 6 of them?
Okay, but here's more interesting to your point. I swear we're going to get to Disney news in a little bit,
Eventually.
you guys. So was it last week or the week before? There was this big announcement that Dollar Trees are closing 1,000 stores.
Yep.
So obviously that 25-cent increase on stuff didn't make a difference,
No.
nor did self-checkout. So I'm not really sure what the idea is for all that. But anyway, this podcast is not about self-checkout. We just kind of went from SeaWorld to that.
Although a dollar store podcast might do really well. Talk about what deals you can get at the
Here's
dollar
what's
store.
at the dollar store this week.
Sponsored by Dollar General, Family Dollar, Five Below,
Dollar
and
Tree. Five Below is good. Okay, anyway, back to his theme parks.
Yes.
So Scott was able to keep up with the this man running
Yeah,
around.
the president of SeaWorld.
Okay, so a friend of mine, my friend Holly and I were in the back, and we were laughing, and we made a reference. If you guys remember the movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey. So I love that movie and I quote it like quite a bit. So his girlfriend in the movie has that jogging photography
Yes.
class. So we're like running and taking pictures just like the movie. Like you're running and you're like taking pictures. I couldn't help myself. I had a good laugh at that. But that's what it was like.
Were they blurry?
I don't know. Were they blurry?
I just think that would have been funny running. So the key to following this guy is to down like 6 Red Bulls. Get your camera ready. Put the autofocus on.
Comfy shoes.
And
Get
just
ready to
go.
run.
But honestly, it was great. It was very informative. I really did enjoy it, and I wish I could have kept up for the second half of it. I was done after that. I'm too old and too fat to keep up.
Shut up. All right. So in addition to our running photography class at SeaWorld, what else did we do this week?
On Saturday, we went to Magic Kingdom for a few hours, which we hadn't been in a long time.
We haven't. So we've been really busy since the holidays. With House of Mouse Expo, that is really monopolized all our time. There we go.
There you go.
That's the word. Because we've been doing all of that, and we haven't. Then we had that media cruise in February, and then back to more Expo and Expo.
And now we're still tired from Expo.
And now
Expo.
I know it's been 3 weeks and I'm exhausted, but I'm excited to try again. But anyway, because I'm glutton for punishment.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time. All right, so back to Magic Kingdom. So this goes along with my usual flow. So in Adventures in Florida Living, I always talked about our family and when we take the kids to Disney and all that stuff and how much it means to me. Well, it still means a ton. So the kids are older, they have their things to do, or sometimes they're just tired and they don't want to go, or
Or Disney's just not their thing as much as it was when they were little.
No,
sadly.
It's really not, and that's kind of makes me a little sad because they grew up on Disney.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from they were time we were in my stomach, I was buying them Disney stuff.
Yeah, but I think they might come back around. It might be that whole thing of I'm not into that anymore. It's for kids or whatever.
But they did have fun.
They did have fun
on Saturday. So I put in a request like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, all right, we are having family night. I don't care. Pick a night that everybody's available. And Andrew goes to concerts all the time. So that's the only thing I have to go around with him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could be a lot worse. He could be out and getting in trouble. He just likes to go see shows.
Right.
So I got my way, and we all had a family night at Magic Kingdom. And we had dinner at Liberty Tree.
Yes.
So another sidebar. We're going to keep sidebars on the show, if you hadn't noticed.
Those aren't going away.
Because I can't not do that. My brain is on overload all the time. Okay, so what was my sidebar? Oh, I know what it was. So when we cover media events for certain things, a lot of times Disney will give us a gift card just for being there. Instead of like a bag of swag, they'll give us a gift card. Right. So we had saved up a couple of gift cards, and we were going to use it for when we could go out for family dinner, and that's exactly what we did. So we went to Liberty Tree, which is a favorite for the kids.
Yeah, and for those who haven't been to Liberty Tree, it's a family-style meal where they bring you turkey, pork loin, and roast beef, stuffing, gravy, mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese, rolls. There's a salad before. There's a ooey gooey toffee cake for dessert.
Uh-huh.
It's a really good home-cooked meal.
Yeah, if you like home comfort food, I'm sure all of you have probably either been there or know someone who has, but it's safe food, I guess you could say, because like we've talked about for the past 6 years, and we started doing our 6 years. All right. Anyway, that we are more basic. We don't like fish. We don't like fancy. We don't like whatever. So if you go, that's like comfort and safe food for us. And it's really good. And so my older son, he loves the mashed potatoes and always orders an extra bowl of potatoes, and he eats them like ice cream just to gross out his brother.
And he did the same thing with the dessert. After all of us took a spoonful of dessert, he grabbed the cast iron skillet it was in and just started eating on the skillet. And I'm like, so I guess we're not getting any more because Andrew kind of commandeered the skillet, and he still didn't finish it all.
No, it was a lot because when it's one of those things like, so Liberty Tree gives you like a small dish of everything, and then you can always order more, but it's deceiving because you're like, oh, that doesn't look like enough. And when you start eating, it really is. And that's how it was with the ice cream. We all took some. Aiden just wanted the ice cream, so I gave him some of that, and there was still plenty left over. Yep. And so I mean, I think it's a good amount of food, and what was it, like 42 a person?
I think it was 42 a person, but then you also get if you're a pass holder, you get 10% off the bill. And we had gift cards that covered it all for us. So it was kind of cool that
Like,
it saved us money. Because we're still paying off the expo, so it was kind of nice to have that. It was kind of nice to have that little free meal, and not just a walk up at the parks.
Yeah, and sit down is so much better. The walk ups aren't as good as they used to be. So, but I was really excited while we were there. This just goes to show you guys how out of touch we've been with actual free time. Because the boys finally got to see the Hatbox Ghost at the Haunted Mansion. Now, mind you, he's been out for months now, but the kids finally got to. Because when we went to Magic Kingdom at Christmas time, the line was super long, and we didn't wait.
And the boys aren't big on waiting in long lines.
No, they're spoiled pass holders. They don't want to do that.
Yeah, so we explained to them that whatever the posted time is, usually it's less. And it was less by, I think, almost 20 minutes.
Yeah, so the posted time said it was a 35-minute wait. We waited 15. Now, so we've talked about this on our show before. Disney does that a lot.
Yep.
They do elevated wait times because they want you to get Genie Plus, which we were talking about in the line, as a matter of fact, because we're standing in standby. Now, mind you, it was only 15 minutes, even though it didn't say that. And you see all these people in the Genie Plus line. So Aiden asked me a really good question. He's like, why are so many people in that line when it's only 15 minutes? It ended up being 15 minutes, And I explained to him, I said, this is why Disney keeps raking people over the coals for money, because people pay for it.
Right.
And remember, we had that discussion in line. So that's exactly why. Yeah. And I you guys know I hate Genie Plus. I refuse to use it. But if you if you go and you stand in line, not like we do now, we'll look at what the sign says, we'll look at our watch, and to see how much time it is, and it's never what they say.
Never.
It's always less.
Off. And the ride could break down, and they still have that window that if it breaks down, they're still within that time. We were actually off the ride 2 minutes before we should have even been getting on it, according to their time. And Mansion's, 9 to 10 minute ride. 7 to 10 minutes, depending on how fast the track's moving.
The track seems slow on Saturday.
It seemed a little slow at certain points. I had the full video. I'm going to upload that up to YouTube tonight. But the video came out really clear and a lot of light in it, because they've added a lot of lights to the ride. So you can see a lot of the things now.
I know we each took a kid in our Doom buggy so that we could show them. I was showing Andrew. You had Aiden with you. And we were showing how they have more lights with Leota. Leota has new hair since they've seen her. There's more lights in the graveyard scene. You can see more. Plus the Hatbox Ghost. And it's so funny because the kids saw the Haunted Mansion movie, and Andrew said that he thought that the Hatbox Ghost was going to be right smack in the middle of the hallway, like where the
candelabra is floating.
Yes, but I said that no, people would be mad about that because they wouldn't see the floating candelabra.
Right, and they would only see him for a split second, because you can only see down that hallway really quick. It'd be less time than what you see him in Disneyland.
Right, and then was it Andrew? No, Aiden had told me, because this kid is so much like me. He said that he wishes that it was in the same spot that it's at in Disneyland on the other side of the attic, because we have that same spot available, but they chose to put him where the Donald Duck chair used to be, which I don't know where that chair is, by the way.
It's got to be moved somewhere, I would guess, somewhere in there.
I should have Googled it.
I was thinking the attic, but who knows? It could be in the ballroom somewhere.
We looked. So Andrew asked me where the chair went. I'm like, I don't know. So let's keep our eyes peeled the rest of the ride to see if we see it. I didn't see it in the attic. I did not see it in the dining room. Didn't see it anywhere. I don't know. But then we were somebody listening probably knows where the chair is. I just didn't look.
Right.
But and some of that stuff goes to the archives. So I don't know. But anyway, so they thought the Hatbox Ghost was really cool. But of course they had to complain. One of them wanted it in the hallway. The other one didn't want it anywhere near the hallway.
It's always something. But you got to remember, so they placed him, for those who haven't seen him or who have seen him, it's based more on the movie.
Right.
That came out rather than the original history of Hatbox. When you watch the movie, you find out that our mansion here in Walt Disney World reflects the mansion that the Hatbox Ghost lived in before he passed on, I guess you could say.
Right.
So it was Crump Manor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Gracie Manor is the one that's out in California.
But which makes no sense to me, because Master Gracie is still the whole theme. It's the same.
It is.
The outside's different. It's the same on the inside. But for some reason, I do like Disneyland's better. I have no idea why.
I still do also.
But Yeah, that's the whole thing. But anyway, so the kids got to do that, and then we pulled over to the side to watch Happily Ever After, which ended up being an annoying mess.
Yeah, we watched it right outside the Christmas store. If you know what we're talking about, before you cross the bridge over into the hub area.
Which they don't let you cross the bridge.
They stopped you unless you were in a scooter. They
I
started
saw
letting scooters
that.
go through on the one side of the bridge.
But not at first. So there's cast members there, like with the lights that like they have at the airport. They're telling people go this way, go this way.
They're landing a plane.
So anyway, I don't recommend watching it there for a few reasons. One, you can't hear the music because cast members are yelling at people who don't follow directions. Two, so they have it taped off. You're supposed to stand in the taped off area. Do you think people can do that?
No.
No. I mean, we did. Then I was getting irritated because people were trying to bump me out of the way. I'm like, I'm in the tape. Too bad that you got here 15 minutes late.
Right.
But still, people push their way in, and I just,
Or turn their flash on their phone to take a picture.
oh my God,
and
that lady
flash is-
next to me, I wanted to grab her phone.
I know you did.
But she kept hitting me. Now, she came in to the tape area, which had about 3 inches of space towards the end of the show.
Because you were at the corner of the tape.
I was at the
right there.
corner.
So there was no space on either side of you to be within the tape, and she pushed her way through.
Her and 2 people pushed. And then not only did she push me, then she had her flash on the whole time, and everybody was giving her dirty looks. Thank God it was towards the end of the show. But I think it's just common courtesy, which people forget sometimes. And like when a week ago yesterday, we spent our time, like we talked about last week, St. Patrick's Day at Universal. And I swear to you guys, there was none of that entitled crap.
No, there
or
wasn't.
rudeness, pushing, none of it.
Just more laid back.
It was such more laid back. It was so much more laid back, and people were actually nice. I'm not used to that because I don't know what happened, because you remember when we first moved here, how everybody was all Disney, and basically Universal sucks. Nobody goes there.
There's the dark side. Don't
The
go down
dark
there. If you
side.
go there, you support. Why do you support them? You should be
Yeah.
supporting Disney.
It was a whole situation. But now you feel a shift.
Yeah.
At least down here you do. A lot of people are preferring Universal because it is an easier vibe, because they have those passes that you get front of the line after 4 o'clock.
Right.
You don't pay extra for rides. For example, so Tron has been open a year, and our sons have not rode Tron yet.
No, because you still need a reservation. And as we said earlier in the show, we're not early birds.
Heck no.
So we're not waking up at 7 to get a reservation. And half the time we don't even realize we're going to go until the day of, or maybe the day
Right.
before. And then you have to be in the park by 1 o'clock. Well, again, we are late owls. So we're not going to be in the park by 1 o'clock if we're going to stay till park closed, which was 11 on Saturday. So no.
No, and then you could buy, because you had told me when we were, I was complaining that I wish the kids could go on Tron. And you said that you can buy it per person. And how much was it per person? Do you remember?
I can't remember what it was per person. I know the rest of Genie Plus was $39 per person, but that did not include Tron.
It doesn't include Tron, so you have to pay to play
Yeah,
extra.
I think it was anywhere from $10 to $15. It could be. It depends on the day. That day was $179 for park tickets when we
Yeah.
walked past the TTC area.
I want to say it was like $19
It's
that
probably
night
something like
to
that.
ride Tron per
It's,
person.
it's just crazy how the pricing fluctuates. The park is the same today or next week,
but
or
it's more
2 months from
expensive
now,
this week because Easter is
because there's more
coming.
people here. It's a cash grab.
It is. It was really crazy to me. $179, and that's just to get you in the park. Now, if you want to buy Genie Plus, if you want to ride Tron,
If you
plus
want a
food-
park hop.
you want a park hop, plus buying food. It's an expensive day out.
It is.
Very expensive.
It is. And Universal does have their Express Pass you can purchase, which works on all their rides.
Right.
But if you have the annual pass like we used to have, where we could just after 4 o'clock go on the rides and you just go through the Express Pass line, it was great. And that's if we do get our passes back. I definitely want that one because that is such a game changer with the pass I have to be able to go right on the rides.
It's so much better. It's
Yeah.
just so much better.
Plus I get to go HHN.
Oh, HHN, yeah. It's just all I'm saying is that I still love Disney. It's something that's been in my heart since I was a kid. But I have a new appreciation for Universal, and plus they're opening the new park, and
Yes.
I really don't feel that it deserves any of that negative stigma like it had before.
No, I agree, and they're better to their pass holders.
Mm-hmm.
Over there, they do make you feel a little bit like they care.
We're special.
We're special. You're special if you go over there. So if you're a
Disney
pass
are like
holder,
me.
and Chuck and Karen were there the other day, and they got to ride one of the Mardi Gras floats
Yeah.
and throw beads.
Yeah.
And there was an article that came out last night.
Yeah, Chuck
so
wrote
on
that.
Sunday night, there was an article about that. So if you want to learn more about the bead throwing in Mardi Gras, go read Chuck's article. You can learn all about that.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay. What else
So,
did we do? Nothing?
Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention about the Disney thing.
Uh-oh.
So when we were pulling in, we go to the ticket window
I know
for
what you're
parking.
gonna say.
And I pull up, and I always pick the wrong window to go to. Always, no matter
Just like
what.
we always pick the wrong cash register line.
Always. So I picked this one, and the cast member is talking to the person in the car on the opposite side of the window from me. And the person's asking them the difference between preferred and regular parking. So they're obviously paying for their parking, the cost difference. And the person's like, so if I pay for this, am I going to be like right at the entrance to the Magic Kingdom? She's like, well, no, you'll be in the parking lot, but you'll be in the first section
Yeah,
of the
she
parking
asked
lot.
if preferred takes you right to the gates of Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, like
no.
you drive right down Main Street, you park in front of the castle, you get out there, and then they move your car.
There's a special road or bridge that goes from the TTC over to the front of the park just for you.
Yeah, so the cast member explained to them that there's the first section of the parking lot is for preferred parking,
Preferred.
and then the lots go back, so you're just a little bit closer.
Then us commoners park elsewhere.
Us with free parking who aren't paying a dime for it. So, but what was funny, so this person, I think they ended up just buying regular parking. They
I
didn't
don't
pick,
remember. I don't know.
but as we're driving and they're taking us up the villain side, the first 4 villains lots, 2 on each side, were both empty. They took us all the way to the preferred parking normal lot, and that's where we parked.
We parked in preferred without paying for preferred,
Yeah.
although it didn't take us right to the front of the park, which is
No,
a bummer.
We still had to get on the monorail and take the monorail over, but we didn't need to take a tram to the TTC. We were able to walk it without any problems. And usually we do walk it no matter which lot we park in.
We never do preferred.
No, I've never once have we done the preferred. I don't know. Do they still give you that free drink of water? They used to give you those
Free
little
Dixie
tiny.
cup of water.
They used to give you those
I
kid-sized
don't even think you
Dasani
get
waters.
water anymore.
I haven't seen the cooler sitting in the parking lot where they give those to you. So
Well, it hasn't been as hot. Maybe you only get water when it's in the pits of hell for the summer
guess
season.
so. Wow, you used a bad word. Now we're gonna have to beep that out.
We don't have to beep it out. This is a whole new show.
So anyway, so that was our Florida living for the last week. We really don't have anything going on this week for next week.
Not really. I mean, I don't know. But you know what? That is great because we have. I know it's great. I have to record for Fox tomorrow about SeaWorld, and I'm not going to mention the running photography class. But after that, I don't think we have anything that we absolutely have to be at, and I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah, I just had to record for the live podcast show tomorrow, which you do as well. But then we're really done for the week, unless we may have an event on Saturday. We're not sure yet. We're
Right.
waiting to
And
see
in
about that.
Easter, but I think
Oh, that's right. It's Easter week.
Easter week we'll probably just eat at home. But anyway.
I'll probably cook.
Okay, so do you want to skip over to Disney news now?
Sure, let's do it all. And I know you keep better track of the Disney news than I do because
You don't know what's going on.
I really don't. And I don't know if it's out of laziness or just don't care.
You made me so mad when you asked me a question. I'm like, it's on our site, and then you just don't read it.
But if I read every article on our site, I would probably roll my eyes and get more mad because a lot of the stuff Disney. I feel a lot like our people that follow us that you just get frustrated with some of the things that they do.
Okay,
So
but it hasn't been anything frustrating this week from what I.
this week, next week may change, but this week is this.
Stay tuned; it could get worse. All right, so I thought we would talk about a couple of things
Okay.
that Disney announced this week.
Okay.
So first things first, let's talk about the D23 announcements that came out last week.
Okay.
Now, if just to recap, or if you guys listen to the live podcast show, then you will know that we did discuss this last Tuesday. But so D23 announced their Legends panel. They announced that they are not doing a quote unquote expo this time. It's going to be a ultimate fan event, I believe is what they called it. And so it's in different locations. Like you're going to be at the Anaheim Convention Center in the day, but then for all the like big panels that used to be there, you got to go drive a few miles down the road to the Honda Center for these big panels. So let's see. Okay, so Legends, Joe Rohde is finally being indicted and indicted. See, I
Indicted.
watched too much
He's been
crime. Sorry.
indicted on,
Inducted.
inducted.
Sorry. God, I watch too much crime.
He's being indicted for Yeti not moving still and Everest.
Inducted as a Disney legend, as are Harrison Ford and Miley Cyrus, which I was surprised.
Yeah, I don't know if she's considered a legend.
Well, I mean, she's popular with Disney, but I always thought legends were older.
Well, I always think of legends. So like when they categorize a song as a classic, it had to have been out for at least 25 years. To make it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you had to tour for like 20 some years. There's certain things you had to do. And granted, she has been acting with Disney since she was a child.
Right. I mean, I get it. I just didn't. I was surprised at that one only because she's younger, but good for her.
Harrison Ford deserves it. I'm surprised he wasn't in already. Actually.
You know what? When they announced Harrison Ford, I was really surprised. I just assumed he already was.
Yeah, with everything with Lucasfilms, as far as Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
He's Han Solo. Come on now.
Yeah, he should have been in there some time ago. So I think that was a missed one. But we know he was at the last D23 when the last expo happened.
Right.
He was actually there.
In 22.
I wonder if they waited this time to make sure he comes back. Because he doesn't like doing conventions.
Oh,
and
I know he doesn't, but I think the honor of being a Disney legend is something that, that these actors and people behind the scenes, whether it's an Imagineer or somebody in production, that's a huge honor that they would want to have.
Definitely. So. Is there anybody on the list that you were excited that was getting it? Besides Miley Cyrus? I know you're a huge fan.
You know what? I have to look at the actual Legends graphic if you give me 1 second.
Okay. Well, I could give mine then while you're doing that. I'm really excited about Steve Ditko being inducted into the Hall of Fame. For those who are not familiar with Steve worked at Marvel Studios back in the day with Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and him and Stan Lee actually invented Spider-Man, which has become one of the most iconic characters in the history of Marvel. And that was his invention. So sadly, he passed a couple years ago, but I'm excited to see that he is being inducted as a legend. So it's a great honor for him to have.
Okay, so one that now that I have it pulled up, Jamie Lee Curtis. That's a good one.
And besides, so she was in the Haunted Mansion as Madame Leota. What else is she?
Parent Trap.
Was it Parent Trap or
was it Freaky Friday?
Freaky Friday, I think
she's been in other Disney things. I didn't realize
Halloween.
Yeah, that's not Disney, but that's okay. Also, another one I was kind of about was Kelly Ripa.
Yeah.
But so when I was a kid, I used to watch soap operas with my grandma, like after school or when I was sick, and she would babysit me. And Kelly Ripa used to be on All My Children for years, which is where she met her husband, Mark Consuelos. They were a couple on All My Children.
Isn't that her co-host on the show?
Yeah, now he's her whole co-host and her husband. They've been married like forever. Okay. So she has a history with ABC. Okay. So she was actually a teenager when she started with them. So that would make sense.
That makes sense. I know last time at the expo they had the Kelly and Ryan booth, wasn't it?
Did they?
Remember there was a booth where you could go sit on the couch and you were with like Kelly Ripa and Ryan Seacrest.
I remember the Good Morning America. I didn't remember the Ryan.
I thought I saw
Kelly.
one for them. Maybe it was either that one or the one before.
Well, speaking of Ryan, he actually is hosting the Legends, the whole production. So that's kind of cool.
And that's good. He should. With everything he's done with
American Idol and everything else. So yeah, shouldn't he be one too?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. They gotta wait because they didn't own American Idol for many, many years.
True. And James Cameron is on that list.
I'm not a fan.
I know you're not a fan. But anyway, so other than Legends, they're going to do the parks panel. There's 3 different large panels. Right. But as I was saying, it's at the Honda Center, which is not even near the convention center. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they do things this year because they're doing like a Disneyland day in the park. They're doing it at the convention center. Then they're doing it at the Honda Center. And the Honda Center, you're going to pay for seats like you do concerts.
Yep.
So top, nosebleed seats are going to be cheaper than floor seats. And I believe floor seats go up to like almost $3,000.
Yeah, I think it was $2,700 and change, $2,700 for a seat. Now that, I don't know if they're going to give you swag with that or anything like that.
They should give you a whole bunch with that.
They should give you the seat.
They should. You get to take your seat home.
Yeah, $2,700 to sit that close for a panel. I don't know. To me, it just doesn't seem worth the money.
No, because if you're looking at it from, we have a jaded perspective as media, but and as expo goers, we know people that go every time, And before, the panels were in the convention center, so it was a one-stop shop,
Right.
and it was not extra money to go to the
No,
panels.
you just had to get in the panel.
Right.
It was
So you can get up, early in the morning, or I know some of them had raffles for panels.
Yes.
And then for media, we had seats, albeit not great seats,
no.
but they do have a media section.
And even for that, we had to apply for what panels we wanted to go to.
Yeah.
And hopefully we got them. So like last time, I wanted to go to the Lucasfilm Marvel Studios panel, and I didn't get it. So I was outside waiting in line at 6 a.m. Me and Lou were there,
Yep.
and we sat on the ground. We waited for like 3.5 hours till they started taking us in. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So, and then I got to do the parks and, the park announcement panel, and then the legend panel.
Yeah.
Which I like the Legends panel better 2 times ago than this past
2
time.
times ago was one with Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey
and
Jr.
John Favreau.
Yeah, that
Is
was
the
a
one
good
Bette
one.
Midler's daughter was
Yeah,
there?
so Bette Midler was being inducted, but her daughter did the award, and James Earl Jones got it that year, but he did
That's right.
he did a recording. He wasn't there. So
Well, he's Vader.
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Just because they're being inducted doesn't mean the celebrity's going to be there, because
Right.
each year maybe they couldn't be there for whatever reason. But yeah, I just don't feel that people should have to pay thousands extra to see those panels. I don't.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all, because it's
already expensive to get out to Anaheim and buy tickets.
well, the
and all
parks
that.
panel is just talking about the new stuff that's coming to the parks over the next 2 years. Supposed
Right.
to be.
Right.
If it's not blue sky,
If it's not a blue sky thing.
that's all it is. It's just giving you updates of what's coming out. And then like the film one, you get to see a lot of stars who are in the films. They come out on
Right.
stage, but in past years, I'm sure it's gonna be different this year because they can't do it. But you weren't allowed to have your camera out. You weren't allowed to
Right.
do video. Now this year, I think it's gonna be a little bit harder. 'Cause how are they gonna stop?
People in a sports arena.
Yeah, exactly.
They would have to have a lot of people on the premises to tell people to put their cameras away.
And one thing we got to do last time that they can't do now. So at the last D23 in the movie showcase panel, whatever you want to call it, they did. They showed us Avatar 2. They showed us a 10-minute clip of that. And what they did was they put up curtains. They separated all the seating into 3 sections in there. They brought these big screens down. They gave everybody 3D glasses that were really nice. And they showed us the movie in true 3D in that room, which was just amazing. They could flip a room to 3D that quickly, just with screens and the curtains they hung at and things like that. But then it all had to go away quickly to go back to the panel. So it was kind
Right.
of, they can't do stuff like that now. Now that you have an arena, you can't just flip it and make it.
No, I mean, and those conference rooms at the convention center are massively huge. But this is going to be like going to a concert.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm really curious to see how they're going to do all of this, because in my head, it feels very confusing. Now, I was talking to our friend Autumn last week, and she's
Yeah.
like, it's really not that confusing, but she like hyper focuses on everything, and she probably knows the whole thing by the back of her hand now. Then there's me who's like, oh my gosh, we got to be here, 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 here. It's not like a one-stop shop anymore. So
See what I liked about it before. So now the big panels that used to be in the morning, you would start your day off with these big panels. Now they're the ending of the day, and they don't end till 10 o'clock at night. Some of them.
yeah, but if you want to leave the convention and go over to the park, then
We
you
used to
can't
do
really-
that in the evening.
Yeah.
We'd go to downtown Disney to have dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
But now you'd be leaving the sports arena, which is a couple miles down the road.
Right.
You got to get back to the area where you're staying at
Right.
to go to downtown Disney. And it's just, I don't know. I liked it better being all in one place.
We don't like change. I mean, I don't like change, but
If good change, I can deal with. But this
Yeah.
just, to me, this just doesn't seem like good change. And running an expo, I look at it a different way.
oh yes, you do.
Oh, I
we,
do.
We know what it entails. I mean, granted, not on that kind of a scale, but we do.
I could do it.
I know you could. You really could, and you could probably single-handedly or organize all that crap yourself.
Probably.
But yeah, anyway. So
Someday.
that's about D23. We
So
don't.
D23, if you need help with planning the next expo, I have
They're
a
not
team.
an expo anymore, honey.
Well,
They're
if you
not
want to
an
bring the expo back and make it a true fan event, let me know.
If not, in the meantime, we got you here in Orlando. Wink, wink. So anyway, okay. So a new cruise ship was announced last week called the Disney Destiny.
Okay.
Now, mind you, the other new ship that's in production hasn't set sail yet.
Right.
That's later this year, but now they have another new ship, which I didn't realize that they were going to announce.
No, I didn't know about that either.
And so the theme, if you will, of this new cruise ship is heroes and villains.
Oh, okay.
So like the little promo they put out was there was like Hades and kind of like good versus evil on the ship. So they're gonna have Disney villains theming
That's
on
kinda
there,
cool.
which is exciting for people. I just don't know if it's going to be how the Wish and the Fantasy are going to, like these 7-day cruises. Well, the Fantasy is going to be a 7-day, and price wise and all that good stuff.
Right.
Because I feel like every time they put out a new ship, it's different and more expensive.
It is. So what's the estimated launch for the ship?
It just said coming in 2025.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're
Which-
still waiting on the Treasure for 2024,
Yes.
correct?
I said Fantasy. What was I thinking? That's the old one.
Fantasy's out.
What?
Fantasy was the one before the Wish.
Right. Okay, but yeah,
So the
Treasure.
Treasure is
is
the
not
one.
out yet.
But the Treasure is due out this year.
That's what I meant. I don't
And-
know what the heck I said.
And then the Destiny is due out the next year.
Yeah, evidently.
Which doesn't. So they've already announced the next ship down the line. But
Even
when they
though-
announced the Wish and they announced the Treasure, those were announced like years before they actually came out. So it's like, so this ship must have been in the shipyard being built for some time. before they're
Yeah,
just
all
letting
of a
us know.
sudden, like, okay, so the Treasure is not done yet, and it's not here yet. But oh, look, we got another ship.
We got another ship. We've already started construction on.
Yeah, surprise.
And the new island will be open.
And the new island, yes. So it'll be interesting.
It will be interesting. And talking about Joe Rody being inducted as a legend, I know he was in charge of the new island
He
at
was.
one point.
Mm-hmm.
Till
He was in charge of lots of stuff.
He was, and I feel bad for him still that he never got to complete. He wanted to fix Everest because the Yeti broke so early on in Everest. He wanted to go back and fix it, and he said, "Before I retire, I will get that fixed." Well,
And
Disney,
it's still Disco Yeti.
yeah, Disney kind of made up his mind that you're gonna leave and not fix it right now. Maybe he'll come back. Who knows?
Well, they're having him back for
They better be nice
Legends
to
and all
him.
that. I know, right? So yeah, he put out something on his social media today of him walking into Walt Disney Studios.
Oh, very cool.
So I think it was Walt Disney Studios, Walt Disney something or other out in California.
Very cool.
They saw him walking up to the door. So who knows?
And we saw him at D23 2019.
19
We were walking around the vendor area, and I spotted him down the aisleway.
at the pizza place.
Yes, he was down by the pizza quick service place. Walking, him and his wife were walking, and we kind of went up to, and he had a crowd gathering around him, and everybody wanted pictures, which Michelle and I both stopped and posed for pictures with Joe Rody.
And he was very nice. He didn't
very
seem
nice.
irritated by people
No.
whatsoever.
No, that's why I said, sorry to bother you and stop you. He goes, no, this is what I love doing. I love talking to people who know who I am and talk about stuff. With
It's
Disney and
nice
stuff
when
like
you
that.
meet people that you admire and they're actually really nice.
Yeah.
Because if they're not, then you're like, disappointing.
Yeah, like a certain Pixar voice actor.
Shut up. All right. Anyway, so moving on, or this is going to go on forever. There's some new things coming this summer. I mean, new-ish things coming.
Newish.
New-ish. Okay, so let's start with Epcot. So CommuniCore
Okay.
Plaza is going to be opening, and there's going to be a new Encanto show at the stage at CommuniCore Plaza,
Oh,
starting June 10th through September 6th. And when that area is done, now mind you, CommuniCore Plaza, like the actual building is going to be almost like the festival centers,
yes.
how we used to have that and where Guardians is.
Right.
So that's going to be the new spot. And there's going to be character meets and such in there. So
Right.
this summer, we're hoping to see all of that.
Cool.
Also, 30 years of The Lion King at Animal Kingdom. New merchandise. There's a new popcorn bucket.
Probably be a cupcake.
You're gonna and you're gonna be able to meet Timon and Rafiki at Rafiki's Planet Watch. And really, that's all they had to say about that. Now they did say something about food coming, so there's probably cupcakes and such.
Probably a cupcake. And ears.
And yeah, probably ears.
And a spirit jersey.
Yeah, the usuals. Maybe a loungefly.
Loungefly backpack.
All right, and next you're going to be able to meet Joy from Inside Out at Hollywood Studios, Pixar Plaza.
And the new movie's coming out this year too, so that's probably
Right.
why they're. I wonder why they're just picking Joy though, with all the characters.
I don't know. Well, right now it just said Joy.
Okay. And Pixar Plaza is the area where you used to get on for Toy Story Mania. down
Oh
that
yeah,
aisleway,
God, back
right?
in the day.
And we were there during Jollywood Nights. They had Edna Mode and Frozone down there.
There,
Meet and
if you
greets.
think about it, that spot over there is kind of a waste. Like they
really
could be
is.
doing other things in that spot, but Joy's going to be there this summer. And then
That'll be joyful.
it will be very joyful. And then what I'm looking forward to is is Disney Springs is getting a drone show.
Yes.
So Disney Dreams that Soar is the name of the drone show
Very cool.
that will start May 24th and run through September the 2nd.
I'm looking forward to that because they had that one drone show at the holidays years ago at Disney Springs, which was really
Yes.
good.
Yeah, it was it had a Christmas tree, then it turned into a dove, and it was they played Christmas music, and that was quite a few years ago. And now they're doing it for the summer, which actually I think is a great idea because of the fact that they do that in other parks,
Yeah.
especially like
Overseas.
or Paris has like great drone shows.
Oh, yeah.
So like, why can't we get that cool stuff here? And Disney Springs is doing that for the summer, and I kind of hope that it's something that ends up being great with fan feedback, that we get those kind of things.
And that they could just change it over to a new theme.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, because
they just reprogram it.
Yeah, they just reprogram the drones to do whatever the next show is, and it's all done by computer anyway. So I think it would be something that they could do that nightly. It would keep people at Disney Springs.
Yeah, and for example, like when Detroit Lions were in the playoffs, they had a drone show, 2 different places in Detroit. So, and basically they just reprogram the lights and such, and that was the coolest thing. That was one thing I wish we could have seen.
Yeah, I wish we could have seen it. It was cool to see how they changed it up depending on who the opponent was that week.
Yeah.
So it was really cool the way they can change the drones. And I know at IAPA this past year, there was a huge drone show that a lot of our colleagues went and saw, and they said it was just amazing what they can do with these drones. So they're getting, the technology is getting better and better and better with that, and obviously more affordable.
Yeah, I hope that Disney ends up doing the same, like as far as different shows like that. So I'll be looking forward to the drone show at Disney Springs.
Yeah.
And that's about it for Disney news.
That's it for Disney. Well, at least there was news this week. There's some weeks there isn't. Last few weeks on the live podcast show, we haven't had any Disney news. So
no. So we actually had stuff to talk about.
There you go.
So you guys, our last segment that we are going to be wrapping up with on this new podcast show is going to be about pop culture and other attractions and
properties
such.
and such in the area.
We wanted to throw a spin in there to just talk about different things that are not theme park related necessarily.
Right.
So,
but one thing that is coming, that's an attraction here in Florida that opened in 2015, which we were there for the opening of it.
We were.
Was originally it was called the Orlando Eye. And it's the big Ferris wheel. It's a big...
What do you call that? It's something wheel.
I don't know. Observation wheel?
Observation wheel.
Observation wheel that you will see on iDrive down there. You actually can see it from anywhere.
You really can.
Pretty much.
You really
huge.
can.
And it is a great ride to go on. Visually, you get to see everything. You can see, if it's a clear day, you can see all the way to the coast, the space coast.
You can see the Space Center if it's a clear day. You can see so far up there. It's actually really beautiful.
It is. And we took your mom and dad on it when they were here one time, and they really enjoyed it. They liked it a lot.
Yeah.
So, and I remember at one time too, you could rent it out for like a small little party or whatever.
Yeah, like a little thing that you could get. Like they would have wine and hors d'oeuvres or whatever, and you could sit in there. I don't know how many times you go around.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you have to go around enough to where you get your your snacks done.
Refill your wine, eat more than a pretzel. Yeah, but so the news came out today that Merlin Entertainment, who was the original builder of the Orlando Eye, has purchased it back. So it's been sold a couple times, hasn't it? 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, like I know Coke owned it. Coca-Cola owned it for a while, and then it was Icon, the wheel at Icon Park. So that area was called Icon Park.
Right.
And then now it's back to the Orlando Eye. I'm just really curious to know if. So it was Icon Park. Is it still at Icon Park?
Good question.
Or is it just the Orlando Eye? I don't know.
Orlando Eye Complex, maybe, or
I don't know.
Campus. It's Merlin. I understood why they're buying this though, because Epic Universe is going in not too far from that area, so there's going to be a lot of traffic in that area, and it makes it business-wise, it makes sense to get the rights back to.
They built it, didn't want it. Now they're like, wait a minute, now we want it.
We're going to get a lot more traffic, and they also own Sea Life, and they own Madame Tussauds, Legoland. They own Legoland. So Merlin Entertainment does own a lot of different attractions and such across the world. So good for them in buying that back and bringing it back to what it originally opened as.
Yeah, it's interesting because I never understood why it kept changing hands.
I didn't understand that either. I always wondered, is it just not making any money? But you always see people in that area.
Not so much on the wheel itself, and it because it got very expensive.
It did,
and a lot of it has to do with the economy too and what people can afford to do.
Right.
So,
and if it's just sitting there, I don't know why they can't run it cheaper. Wouldn't it be better to have it full? Maybe not charging as much to have the
charge less, but actually have people on it. Because a lot of times we've been over there and it's not even moving.
Yeah, and $5 or $10 in price makes a lot of difference, especially if you have 5 or 6 people.
Now I know when Merlin owned it before, you could get packages for the complex, like with Sea Life Aquarium and Madame Tussauds and
Legoland.
Yeah, you would get a whole whole like bang for your buck. I don't know if they still have that. It might be worth it to go over there and check it out and see what they have to offer and report back.
Well, it sounds like we need to go out there.
Maybe we do.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. All right. So in pop culture this week, you ready to switch?
Let's switch.
Okay. So this is going to be about just anything that I decide that we're going to talk about. Or
She is our TMZ.
yeah, I'm going to be like TMZ, kind of, sort of. All right. So let's talk about first all the hullabaloo with the royal family.
Okay.
So, I like to, before I go to bed at night, one of the last things I do is I go on the former Twitter and I scroll.
Or she falls asleep with former Twitter on her.
Or that my phone hits my chest and I fall asleep. It hurts worse if it hits my face. But anyway. Ouch. It's a thing. I know you people out there can relate. At least you, when you fall asleep, yours goes to the side. Mine usually
That's why I
hits me
don't
in
keep
the
it over my
face.
head.
So X, formerly Twitter, last week and other social media, was all about the speculation for what's going on with Prince William and his wife in England.
Yes.
Now, media is terrible. I
They
mean,
are.
it can be really terrible, and they said horrible things about Princess Catherine.
Yes.
All stuff to that they killed her, they're hiding her. Her husband's cheating on her, blah, blah, blah. And it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. So then the poor girl, she came out late last week saying that she actually has cancer, and that's why she hasn't been seen this year.
Yep.
And honestly, it enraged me a little bit.
It did.
Because she was outed, and she was forced to speak about something that's a private matter because of what the media did to her.
Yeah, if she was ready or not to bring it to the public's eye, what was going on, she had no choice.
No, and they have, her and William have small children.
Yes.
And like she said in her speech that, they're still dealing with it and have to get their small kids, acclimated to what's going on and reassure them that it's okay.
Right.
Plus she's, going to be going, under treatment. And I think that's like, yes, we have jobs in the media to a point. Granted, not the same thing, but it makes me very sad that something like that had to happen. It doesn't matter if they're rich, they're royal, they're whatever.
Matter.
Health problems are health problems, and she was forced to make a statement because they were so rotten to her online.
They were. I remember I read Stephen Colbert was served papers from the woman who is, I guess, her friend.
That they accused
of having an affair with William.
Yeah.
And Stephen Colbert was actually sent papers to cease and desist talking about this.
And there's a lot of them that need to. And I remember after it came out, I watched what she had to say, like everybody else did, and I could feel my nose burning, and I got a little teary-eyed because what a shame.
Yeah.
What a shame. And I
dealing
hope
with
that
something that
yeah,
bad.
and I hope that the people that were horrible to her feel really bad now.
I know I've seen a lot of different things when I'm scrolling at night on different news sources, and I see a lot of celebrities who've come out who said things before, and now they're like,
Now
they
they're
feel
apologizing.
bad. And they should. Just like if they go through something horrible and they have to deal with, they don't want to be outed by the media. It's no different for
No.
them. Yes, in the U.S. we don't fully get the whole royalty, king and queen. And
There's a
all
lot
that
of people
stuff.
that like to follow it here because it's
But they
something
like
that
to
we don't
follow-
have.
Right. And yeah, we don't understand it fully and what it means, but
Right.
in England it's a huge thing.
It
It's a major
is.
thing, and these people are put up on pedestals, and then to call them out and just instantly go to the most negative possible things you can think of.
And I know people, I'm not saying that the royal family is perfect. There's all kinds of conspiracy theories swirling around there, but, poor Kate didn't do anything,
No.
and she married into that family, and they ripped her to shreds.
They did.
And I hope that all I'm going to say to close out this part is I hope people feel horrible for
Right.
what they did. And secondly, I think it could be used as a lesson because you don't know what people are going through. And
Right.
just because they're staying to themselves doesn't mean that something scandalous is going on. You don't
Right.
know what other people are dealing with.
Right.
So maybe try to show a little more kindness.
I know me and you talked about it before she came out and spoke about what it was and everything, and I even speculated to you. I said I think she has cancer, or she has some kind of illness, just because the way they made it sound to me, and I always look at stuff a little bit differently than most people do, and just the way they were reporting things. To me, it seemed like she's staying hidden for a reason. Well, A, she's recovering, but B, she could be not looking the best.
Well, she looked very thin.
She looked very thin, which
Aw.
she lost a lot of weight, which of course makes people speculate other things. And she stayed out of the public eye, which of course, again, speculation, but it's like she was dealing with cancer, or they originally didn't go in for cancer. They found cancer when they went in to do the abdominal surgery she had, and this is all this is all
It's supposed to be like they found cancer cells, but they're trying to nip it in the bud and give her chemo for
just to
it.
make sure she.
But regardless, I hope now that it's out that people leave her alone. Just leave her alone.
And they will until the next person comes up with something similar, and then they're going to jump right back on the bandwagon and start accusing of all this stuff that
because people are horrible sometimes.
they are, and it's that clickbait type article to get clicks on your website.
You mean the kind that like we don't do?
Exactly.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, we don't like those people. Anyway, so next up, I thought we would talk about, because I was scrolling like news for the past week and to see what people are talking about.
On X.
And no, I mean, I actually was looking at the entertainment sites too before we started. So it was not just the former Twitter. So one thing that kept coming up was one of my guilty pleasures, 90 Day Fiancé. So I spoke before. So I'm a 90 Day Fiancé and TLC. Like, I'm hooked. So I watch the spinoffs. I watch the tell-alls. I watch the recaps on Pillow Talk is what they call it afterwards. I watch it all.
It's ridiculous what TLC has done with this 90, because it never stops.
It just keeps going, and they keep using the same people, and these people are a hot mess, total train wreck that you cannot look away. And so I watch it every week, and I know that a lot of other people do, but there's enough of you listening. I could do a recap every week. That would be so much fun.
That's another podcast.
But anyway, so it made me think, there's other reality shows that people watch. They have Little People, Big World. They have Real Housewives of basically everywhere.
The WWE.
Seeking Sister Wife, all these messy shows.
TLC is for the messy shows. That's all it's for.
It really is messy, but Bravo has messy shows too. But then, because on Wednesdays we watch My 600-Pound Life.
I love that show.
I love that show
because I can relate to that show.
Yeah, you can.
I was never 600 pounds, but I was 450, and I did have the surgery, so I get it.
Right, but we watch that stuff too.
Yeah.
And when I'm not watching true crime, but it kind of made me think about like reality shows, trash TV as I call it, why people watch it. And I think for one, entertainment value. For two, for 90 Day I'm talking about, you look at these people and how nuts some of them are. Like, we're talking off the rails, like, I need a doctor fast. And it makes you feel better about yourself. You're like, oh my gosh, my life isn't so bad if this is what's going on with them.
Yeah, all of a sudden your life looks a lot better. No matter how bad your life is. If you watch that show, you get done, you go, wow, my stuff's really not that bad right now.
No, and it's one of those things that these people irritate you so bad, but then you're still watching them.
Yep.
And some of them, okay, so people that watch it, like Jasmine and Gino, that have been on
Lord.
so many spinoffs.
And we know them because Gino, who's the American in the mix, is from Canton, which was
Canton,
really close to where we
Michigan,
lived.
which is 20 minutes from where we lived in Michigan. But this woman, she's from Panama, and every season she screams and cries and carries on
and
over
storms off the set.
Absolutely nothing. When she gets mad, I've never seen epic meltdowns like this woman has, and she's mean when she's mad. And we laugh every time because she's just a wreck. But, stuff like that, I really think that, I don't know what you guys would think, but guilty pleasure shows kind of take you away from, I know it's reality TV, but it kind of takes you away from your reality.
Yeah.
And you watch someone else's mess for an hour.
It's always better to watch somebody else's mess than to deal with your own a lot of times.
That's true. So yeah, okay. No more hot messes. Well, what is my last one? Okay, so this is interesting. We're going to close out our pop culture segment with something that I found.
Okay.
Kind of gave me pause for a moment.
Okay.
All right, so Maya Rudolph, who was on Saturday Night Live, and she's been in movies and such, she was actually one of the head people who did the movie Bridesmaids in 2000.
Her and Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy was in that.
Yes.
And Wilson Phillips.
Man, I love Wilson Phillips.
I love me some Wilson Phillips.
So I guess Kristen Wiig made a statement over a week ago or something that Bridesmaids 2 was never a discussion or conversation.
Okay.
So Maya Rudolph was asked a couple days ago if, about a second part. And what she said was something along the lines of so Kristen Wiig said it wasn't even a discussion or conversation. But Maya Rudolph, who was the other lead in the movie, said that she understands why fans want it
Okay.
because it was such a thing. But it's that basically, it sounded to me like she's saying she would do it, but Kristen Wiig would have to be on board.
Yeah, you'd have to have the two main.
Right. And then they started, I guess over the past few years, it's been, because, that movie was so popular that they started asking the other women that were in the movie to see what they would do.
Okay.
So Melissa McCarthy, for example, said she would sign up and start working on it tonight.
And she's become the biggest star, I would say, out of that.
We love Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, but I mean, when she did that, she wasn't as big of a star as she became shortly
Right.
thereafter, and she like blew up. I mean, her career went skyrocketed.
Yeah, and we still watch all the reruns of Mike and Molly. I mean, we've seen them all. And we watch them like the first time. We laugh at the same parts. Like I loved that show. I still do. But and she was so funny in that movie.
Yes.
And so I guess the other actresses were saying that it would be a definite yes.
See, that's cool. It's kind of to me like a female version of The Hangover.
Yeah.
Where you keep bringing back the same core group of people.
But The Hangover got worse and worse.
Yeah, it did.
And that's one thing that one of them said, I don't know if it was Kristen or if it was Maya, but one of them said that you have to be really careful when it comes to sequels, especially when it's a beloved movie. You don't want to make it like,
yeah, you don't want cheese.
you don't want to take away from the original.
Yeah.
And then, because sometimes sequels make it crappy.
As long as the air marshal's back.
Oh, yeah, which is Melissa McCarthy's husband in real life, Air Marshal John, or non-Air Marshal John.
Non-Air Marshal John. Some of the outtakes that are of them, not outtakes, but scenes after the movie during the credits are just hilarious. So if you're sitting around and you want to see something, go watch the after credits at the end of Bridesmaids.
Yeah, you'll see her with non-Air Marshal John. It's pretty darn funny.
It's hilarious.
But I don't know. I would think I would like. I love that movie so much, and I think that they could make more.
Oh, easily.
But I also understand the whole point of preserving something that was so great at the time that, it ended. You don't need to. But you don't need to.
It's kind of like Seinfeld. It ended, and they didn't need to make any more, and they haven't, but people want it.
Well, sure. I mean, I can see what them doing another movie, but I guess the script would have to be good, and people would probably trash it. It's not as good as the first. So,
but most second movies aren't. There's only a few in history that have actually been as good, if not better, than the original.
Right.
And that won't be hard. But you could focus on Kristen Wiig's relationship this time, since Maya Rudolph's character, it was her getting married.
Have her marry the cop.
Have her marry the cop from the first movie, and then you find out in the first movie, her best friend then becomes Melissa McCarthy's character. She goes, "I'm your best friend. I'm right here with you, and you're ignoring me and all this." So I think there's a lot of ways they could actually play that out to make it still really funny.
They could still do Bridesmaids, but for Kristen Wiig's character this time. See, we got a whole.
You know what? Call us, Maya.
Call us.
I got a script.
We got a thing. We can come up with it.
I have an hour. I'll come up with it.
So that's all I have in pop culture this week.
Okay. Well, the last thing I had was we were going to do a little game because I think games make the podcast a little more fun. But we're not going to do an in-depth game. It's just going to be a top 5 type game. So I wanted to ask you, going from the 5th one up to the number 1, your top 5 rides for Walt Disney World across all the parks.
Well, that's not an easy question, sir, because there's a lot of them. And like when you guys do this to me on the live podcast show, I can't ever really come up with what, I'll put out an answer and think about it afterwards and be like, no, that wasn't a great answer.
Okay, how about this? How about your top ride at each park?
Okay, that's more fair, I would say. So top ride at each park. So
let's start with Animal Kingdom.
Well, it's not my favorite park.
That's not mine either. Which is why we
Hmm.
rarely go there.
Hardly ever go.
We go about once a year.
Yeah, just for like a mercy visit. See, I always liked Everest, but I also like the Navi River journey. So
Right.
it's a kind of a toss-up.
Yeah, I'd agree with Navi River. I like that one. It's a relaxing. It's not a thrill ride where Everest is
And
a
you
thrill
can't
ride.
do Everest anymore. It
can't
makes
do
you not
Everest
feel
anymore.
well. You don't
Yeah.
like the backwards part.
It's the backwards part. And I was talking to our friend Ronnie last week about that when we were at Universal, and how he said certain rides he can't do them anymore like he used to be able to do years ago, because as you get older, certain rides affect you a certain way. So, I would agree with Navi River.
Mm-hmm.
I like Flight of Passage. Just again, the motion makes me not feel so good, so I can
See, every time I go to these parks, I have to take Dramamine or stuff like that because I know, like, I want to do the rides, but it's not worth. Because you get motion sickness, you're done the
done
rest
for the
of the
day.
day, and it's horrible.
It is.
I would say if I had motion sickness pills, maybe Everest, but I do like Navi River Journey. Flight of Passage makes me not feel well.
I do like Dinosaur. I always have.
Oh, it gives me a backache.
I've always liked Dinosaur. I don't know what it is about it, and I know it's just the Indiana Jones ride from Disneyland.
Basically,
here.
yeah.
I've always liked that one, and I like the Safari. I think the Safari.
Oh, I forgot about the Safari.
The Safari is just it's always different. It is never the same ride twice.
This is true. And actually, we just named a bunch of basically the only rides they have.
That's all there's left.
And that's
So let's
all
move
she wrote.
on to let's go next to trying to think where we should go. Let's go to Hollywood Studios.
Hollywood Studios.
You know mine.
I know what yours is. Rise of the Resistance.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite ride on property.
Okay, so I like Rise also, but there's something to be said for Tower of Terror just for nostalgia reasons, and I actually really do love Slinky Dog Dash,
Yes.
but we can never get in. I'm not spending an hour and a half in line for it. I'm
And
sorry.
it's in the sun. I mean,
It
they
is
have
in the sun.
umbrellas here and there to kind of shade you, but if it's
Yeah.
a long line, you're in the sun for a good portion of that.
You
that
are,
wait.
and that's why I never ride it because I'm not gonna die in the sun to ride a 2-minute coaster.
I do like Runaway Railway also.
Oh, I like that too.
Yeah,
It's hard to pick a favorite. I know Rise is
It
your
is.
favorite, so let me go with I want to pick Tower of Terror just because.
So let's go to Epcot. I know what yours is going to be for this one.
Do you?
Yeah. At Epcot.
Guardians of the
Yeah.
Galaxy.
And I know that. And I love Guardians of ride also. It just makes me not feel great.
You
'Cause
need Dramamine. You need
I
to keep
look
it with
around
you
too
all
much.
the time.
I look around when I'm on the ride, and that's the problem. If I don't look around, if I just stay focused to where they're pointing me, I'm fine. But if I start looking around,
So you need motion pills, and it does help because I've gone on that ride with and without motion pills. Motion pills, you don't feel anything.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the first time I rode that ride at the media preview,
It was a hot mess.
I got off the ride, and people were, like Becky was waiting for me, and you were waiting for me, and somebody else, and they're like, "Did you love it?" And I was like, "No, I hated it because I felt so horrible getting off the ride."
That's why you need to you need to prepare if you're going to go on that
I didn't
ride.
think I was going to be riding it that day.
Well, guess
Luckily, our media rep made arrangements for me to be able to go ride it real quick.
what? Mm-hmm.
So
I rode
got
it like
to
9 times that
I know
day.
you did.
But I also took Dramamine.
You did do that too.
So,
So-
I would have to say Guardians.
Guardians, and I agree with that one. I would say if I could handle it better, I would love it even more. But I can handle like 3 Caballeros, so I'm pretty good at that one.
I like Soarin' also.
Soarin's a good ride. It is.
Yeah.
It's a great ride. I'm glad we're back to our Soarin'. aren't we?
We're back to our Soarin'.
I didn't know why they brought Soarin' from California to Florida. It just didn't make much sense. to
Who
me.
knows?
So last one is your favorite park, Magic Kingdom.
Magic Kingdom.
This one's a toss-up because do you pick the
Ooh.
old nostalgia ride that you just love, or do you pick more the thrill type ride? There's two rides there, and I don't know which one you're going to pick.
Ah. Mansion.
Mansion. That's
Yeah.
what I thought you would go with. That's still my favorite always. I was wondering if you were going to pick Tron.
Okay, so I have a love-hate relationship with Tron.
Okay.
Okay, I love to ride it. Okay, I haven't been on it in a year because of stupid
Yeah.
reservations and Genie Plus.
Well, we have gone to the Magic Kingdom and gotten in the 1:00 reservation pool,
Yeah,
but the problem is we end up leaving after like 5 or 6 hours.
and
go
then at
home.
9:30 at night it says your boarding group is
Your
there.
boarding
I'm
group,
not
no.
spending 12 hours at the park to ride that ride.
Right.
So
And it's different. So if you're here on vacation, you have no problem wandering around the park for hours.
oh no.
But when you live here and you're at the park, it's like after a few hours, you're like, okay, I've done everything I wanted to do. I'm good. And then you have nothing to do until that.
And it's
Past
true.
times up.
It's true. Like if you, I know I'm going to say something that's going to make people gasp around the world, but it can get boring. Yes, I said boring
It
because if you, like for us, we can see Magic Kingdom's fireworks from the end of our street
Right.
at night.
Right.
We are right next to Disney.
Yep.
So, and we go a lot. And when we first moved here, we went a heck of a lot.
Oh, we went all
And we
in.
were there all the time.
We closed the park a lot of times that first summer.
Yeah, and I think sometimes there is something to be said for too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I got so excited when we went to Magic Kingdom the other night because we hadn't been with the
Right.
boys since Christmas. So yeah, I and that's why I'm saying that spending all day to ride a ride is not something that we would do.
And I think if me and you go to the parks, we spend a little bit longer of a day. because me and you aren't worried about getting out and things like that. So, but it's all good. So, okay. So the last one, Haunted Mansion, I definitely agree with you on that one. I love Tron also, but again,
If we could actually get on it, that'd be great.
just go back to letting us wait in line if we really want to.
Yeah, that whole reservation thing for that ride has to go.
It is. So that brings us to the end of our first full podcast we've done. And you're probably wondering why this is number 138. Well, we've just continued our weekly live show into a podcast, so we're going to keep the numbering system going so as it makes it look like we've been around for a lot longer.
Well, we started doing live shows in 2018, so yeah.
So this just continues it. So thank you guys so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. I know we went a little bit over an hour, but it was fun. I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys will tune in each week to see what new antics and stuff we're going to talk about.
I mean, things might get a little crazy, but you kind of expect that from us.
I think they'd be disappointed if it was perfect and ran without any problems.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, thank you guys so much. We will have this show. We're going to still try to put them up on Monday nights.
Yes.
If we can, as close to 7 o'clock as I can.
Right.
I got to do some editing here and I got a couple hours to do it, but I will try to get it done. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you for doing the show with me. Appreciate it.
And thank you guys for all the support you've given us over the year. And please don't forget to follow the Main Street Mouse on all social media channels because I update it every single day.
Every single day. So make sure you subscribe to all the channels, turn on notifications, do whatever you got to. Check the website. If you don't see it on Facebook, go to the website.
Exactly.
TheMainStreetMouse.com. Also remember, MEI Mouse Fan Traveler, our official travel sponsor of the Main Street Mouse. Becky and her team will help you out with any travel needs to wherever you want to go. not just Disney.
Wherever.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We will see you next week. Have a great week. Michelle, go ahead and close us out.
Thank you for everything. I hope you guys have a great week ahead, and we will see you real soon.